Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Strategic Learning Solutions webinar. We're going to do some introductions and then I'm going to go into the slides, but we're just going to give people a couple of minutes to join. So we'll do some introductions while people are joining. I'm Emma Bellingham and I'm the Head of Academy here at IWFM. So I'm responsible for the delivery of our training and qualifications through our centre, the Academy Centre. I'm responsible for our public courses and awareness courses and training courses that we deliver via face-to-face, online, and bite-sized courses. And I'm also responsible for our organisational offer, so how we work with organisations to develop those bespoke solutions from an L&D perspective. I'll hand over to Neil so Neil can introduce.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for your time today. Look forward to the discussion. So, Neil Everett, Director of Strategic Engagement, so working very closely with large organisations, both on the kind of the customer side, but also the service provider side as well. So, yeah, look forward to the discussion.
Thank you. So, I think we've got most of the people on the webinar now. So, I'm going to start by introducing IWFM for Organisations and talking through a bit of what is IWFM for Organisations. So essentially, IWFM for Organisations is our business-to-business offer. IWFM work with you to understand how your organisation works, your focus on workplace and FM, and we combine that with our expertise of the WFM market and professional development insights to build capability within your organisation. So it's not kind of one size fits all, it can be kind of very bespoke and specific to your organisation. So we collaborate with you to understand your business position, your objectives in any areas of improvement that you want to maximise your performance. We also bring together our industry insight, expertise and solutions to create a holistic programme for your business. And we tailor our support to your business needs. So it ranges from hands-on kind of learning design and delivery to more general guidance around professional development. And as I said, it fits across a number of different areas within IWFM and products and services that are delivered via IWFM. So it aligns into our policy and insight. It feeds also into kind of like strategy development of what your FM strategy is and the focus of your organisation and the maturity of FM within your organisation. We look at that competency assurance piece, not just around kind of the roles within your organisation, but where you want to achieve, so where you want to get to, and the gaps within your current capability across your organisation, and then we can create that bespoke programme that'll help you build those, fill those gaps, and build that knowledge and skills across your organisation to enable you to then succeed and achieve your objectives that you've set out. We also look at from a leadership point of view, so that's from all levels of the organisation. We look from leadership and strategy development right the way through to operational levels. And if you've already got programmes and courses that you deliver in-house, we also have an approval programme that we approve organisations' training content to the IWFM training standards to ensure that we're meeting a standardised global training standard as an industry. And that we are kind of standardising that training approach and the learning frameworks across the industry. Right, Neil, I'll hand over to you so you can talk a bit more about the industry as a whole.
Great stuff. Thanks, Emma. So, I mean, I think probably if everyone on the call's kind of here for a particular reason, kind of that, the skills gap within organisations, I think is, it's a challenge that I think each and every organisation kind of faces, and I think, there's a number of reasons, for that, that kind of, efficiency, the service delivery piece is critical, but I think also, kind of understanding actually what skills do you need for your current demands, but also, what do you need into the future. I think, the way that we do business is changing so quickly that we have to be, it's really quite difficult now to kind of, predict, how quickly the skills you need within an organization are going to change. So kind of having that view of it is critical. I think also though, the kind of the skills gap piece kind of feeds into that kind of employee, engagement and retention piece. I think, in organizations where you can see that, kind of, good learning and development and kind of, people development programs are in place, you obviously get that kind of greater satisfaction and retention of staff. So in terms of the business case, it's slightly easier to make. I think the other thing is just that, that kind of maintaining your competitive advantage as organizations as well. It's critical. Obviously, the people are the kind of organizations, and actually, kind of investing and upskilling them is critical. I think that's a key point. One, I just wanted to share a couple of slides really just in terms of kind of some of the data that we're seeing as the professional body for Workplace and FM. We do an annual survey called the Market Outlook Survey. So that's between sort of 500 and 1,000 respondents each year, just really giving us their feedback on kind of their kind of market confidence, their sentiment, if you like, of what's happening in the market. The latest data that we've got, I mean, it's it kind of changes year on year, but actually some of the things that kind of continue, but that kind of difficulty or ease of kind of recruiting and retaining good staff is critical. So as you can see in the bottom right hand corner there, how easy or difficult would you say it's to retain existing staff with the skills your organization requires? A good almost 50% there kind of saying it's difficult or very difficult to retain staff, and I think that's a critical piece of kind of data that we would look at. Emma, if we can go on to the next slide, maybe get into a bit more of the detail. I mean, in terms of the kind of the skills that are, the major skills gaps we see, I mean, I don't think it becomes a great surprise. So those technical skills, the kind of, the construction and maintenance staff is really the areas where the majority of people are seeing, significant skills gap. And trying to recruit into those areas is proving the biggest challenge. I think that's a key bit, and that's probably hasn't changed, kind of year on year for a while now. I think there's been a big push on, that area. So it is quite quite a difficult area. It doesn't seem to be changing hugely. Obviously, you can see there's a bit of a gap between the sort of the private sector and some of the government, the public sector stuff, which is obviously a challenge. But as you can see, the technical piece is critical. If we go on to the next slide, we can just there's a bit of kind of further breakdown of that. That technical proficiency is obviously top of the list there. One of the things that I find kind of talking to organizations is actually a lot of it seems to be about kind of hiring and retaining people with the good kind of a good attitude as well, that you can kind of close some of their skills gaps. So even if people aren't kind of being recruited into your organization fully with all of the skills that you require, that kind of attitude is a critical piece to kind of invest in them and kind of develop them as they work for you. The other one, which kind of doesn't come out here, but actually a lot of organizations talk about, is actually the influencing skills. So how, especially within the Workplace and FM function, how can we create kind of the people who kind of really influence and kind of make the case almost for Workplace and FM within organizations, and that kind of influencing, being able to tell stories with the data, that kind of thing, is a critical bit that I think is it kind of needs some further investigation. I think that one's. So if we can go to the next slide, I suppose, and what we can do is drop a link into the latest report, where due to publish the 2026 report in June, but I think the 2025 report has still got, you know, some relevant data that would be of interest to people, so we can drop that into a link to that report into the chat. But I suppose a few kind of key things coming out really. I mean, in terms of investment, you know, technology and data seems to be obviously, you know, a big area where all organisations are kind of investing. I don't think we can kind of, you know, you can't go sort of an hour kind of working without hearing, you know, two letters AI, and you know the impact it's going to have on business. But you know that requires significant investment to kind of, you know, to bring that to the fore. Obviously, the recruitment difficulties and skill shortages, you know, that's still you know, as it says, a perennial problem, and I think that's not changed, especially in those critical kind of technical areas. The one area which was interesting in the 2025 report, and you know we'll see if that kind of continues in 2026, was actually the kind of almost reduction in the kind of importance of sustainability. And I don't know whether that's whether that's kind of policy and government led. Certainly, you know, across the Atlantic, they're you know, obviously pushing back really against some of the, you know, the climate change and sustainability goals, but I think that seems to be feeding through to some of the organisations as well. So that seems to be kind of reducing in importance, even though we've got goals to kind of hit as organisations. So I think that's quite interesting. But as I said, we can drop a link to the 2025 report into the chat. So if there's kind of particular data you want to look at, have a look at that, and that's all there for you to look at. So hopefully that kind of gives you a bit of a flavour. Actually, it's not just a sort of, you know, a particular organisation kind of issue. Actually, you know, there's across the board, you know, there's challenges. I think just to finish off really, I mean, there's some. I think that sometimes as Workplace and FM, we kind of underplay the impact that we can have as a profession, as a function. And I think there's some, you know, some pretty stark kind of numbers on there in terms of the impact that we can have as you know, FM professionals. I think the one to the, you know, the far right hand side there, you know, 43% of FMs lack clear net zero targets. I think that always strikes me as a pretty stark number. You would think that would be slightly higher, but that's the case. And I think obviously the one in the bottom right hand corner as well, you know, that 20%, you know, report that the overall well-being has worsened due to changed working practices. You know, again, I think that kind of sometimes we forget the impact that Workplace and FM can have on, you know, well-being, you know, within organisations, and I think that's again a critical bit that we need to kind of elevate and kind of, you know, make a bigger part of the, you know, discussion that we have within organisations. So hopefully that's a bit of a kind of overall data that we're seeing as an organisation. If I hand back to Emma, she can kind of talk you through some of the stuff that she's been working on in order to kind of work with organisations to kind of support them on some of this journey.
Thank you, Neil. So yeah, thank you for that context. So in terms of how IWFM are working with organisations, I just want to talk you through some of the examples of how we are working with different organisations across our corporate members and group members. So this is all of these companies are companies that we're working with. Obviously, we're not sharing the names of the organisations, so we're referring to them as Company A, B, and C. And just to give some more detail really around the different options and ways in which we can work with organisations, and to kind of highlight where that it isn't a one-size-fits-all, and the flexibility that is involved in the IWFM for Organisations offer. So Company A has developed a bespoke learning and development programme with us. So they're a private sector global real estate management company. We first started working with them in 2023, and they explored our existing training course schedule. We had some initial meetings, and the initial training was arranged based on kind of manager's judgment and sales advice, I would say. There was a training delivery schedule that was delivered throughout 2023 and 2024, and it ran across both public courses and off-the-shelf in-house courses. So our public course delivery runs from January to December. Any individual can go onto the website and book onto those courses that are advertised on the web through the website, and it is delivered across all of our operational, managerial, and strategic categories, and across all of our core courses that we deliver that are aligned to our professional standards framework. In 2025, we reviewed the outcomes and proposed a full training needs analysis. So, as I said, they've been doing some public courses, they've been doing some in-house delivery. The in-house delivery was focused on this delivering some of our public courses, but to an in-house audience. So essentially, a closed audience just for this company. In 2025, as I said, we went and looked at went and had a conversation with them, talked to them about a full training needs analysis, so that we could really understand the capability and the knowledge and skills that they had across their organisation. Obviously, bearing in mind that they'd already been through some training delivery within 2023 and 2024, but we did a in-depth dive into the organisation and their people. So the training needs analysis, first stage of that is to talk from an organisational perspective. So we met with the senior leaders across the organisation, met with them and talked to them to understand what their objectives were, what they wanted to achieve over the next few years, what their challenges were from as an organisation, and where they felt their biggest challenges that they were facing, where they thought that they'd kind of some challenges haven't appeared yet, but where they thought they may be kind of on the horizon, and really got a good understanding of their strategy and what they wanted to achieve. In Q3 and 4 of 2025, so the second half of 2025, we also led interviews across all of the FM function across leaders, managers, and frontline employees. So these focus groups were arranged within their kind of peer groups, and we asked them questions around some based around the professional standards framework, some based around the research and knowledge that we have as a professional body of kind of some of the points of what Neil's gone through around the context of what organisations are challenged with at the moment, and some questions focused around the insight and data that we gathered from the in-depth interviews that we did with the senior leadership team. So we did that full analysis. Once we'd done those interviews, we did a full analysis of all of the operational needs, the role expectations, and the performance gaps. We gathered all of that data and we wrote that up into a detailed report that was delivered to the customer. So it summarised the skills gaps and the identified skills gaps that had been talked about across the focus groups, that were apparent across the teams and the functions. It identified the missing competency required for future organisational success. So looking at that mapping around where the organisation had said they wanted to achieve and what their objectives were, it identified the gaps in knowledge in order to help them do that, but also the gaps in knowledge against the professional standards framework. And it identified any operational risks that linked to the capability gaps. So the outcome of this piece of work is that, one, the customer has got a detailed report, which clearly highlights where they need to prioritise from their L&D, from an L&D perspective, and it's completely bespoke and contextualised to workplace and FM, so it's not generic. It's detailed back to the professional standards, and obviously they're the IWFM professional standards. They've got an evidence-based training roadmap that they can identify where they want to then prioritise and the key areas that they want to focus on. and every employee has received a personalised L&D pathway. So we're not just looking at this from an organisational perspective. The organisation's got an L&D plan, but also individuals have got a personalised professional development pathway that's aligned to their role, their career stage, and their capability needs. The roadmap is created with the customer and has been prioritised to manage the risk of overwhelming staff by providing by delivering it through a staged approach. And throughout 2026 and 2027, that training roadmap and the professional development roadmap will be delivered with the customer over the next 2 years. Company B, so a bit of a different approach, but kind of similar outcome. So Company B is within the private sector, and they're a world leader in the energy and services sector. So we've worked with this organisation for a number of months. Firstly, looking at the challenges that initial challenges that they've identified and why they've kind of come to us. So the organisation approached us with concerns about significant competency gaps that were emerging across multiple teams, and those gaps were affecting the consistency, the service of their quality, and the overall team performance. And they were concerned that there was that silo working was emerging across their FM functions. So through discussions and early assessment, we identified that there was 2 critical problem areas. So one is that the managers and area managers, there was inconsistency across the leadership capability. There was gaps in the decision making and the people management and the operational oversight. And there was also variation in confidence and competence across the management layer. So while the technical knowledge was strong, there was gaps across their kind of management and leadership skills and abilities. And the second area was the help desk team. So there was skills shortages across impacting customers that were supporting the quality of how they were supporting those customers. There was a need for improved communication and problem solving in that kind of call handling phase. And there was lack of structured development pathways, so that the help desk team was struggling to build their foundational knowledge around FM in order to support customers. So in order to support this customer and to work with this customer, we created a proposal that was based on 2 bespoke learning solutions that were each designed to directly address the areas of concern and the further issues that we'd established as we were working with the customer. So there was 2 separate solutions, and they were both built to strengthen the core competencies across the organisation, improve the capability and the confidence across managers and area managers and the help desk, and also support consistent performance across the teams. Both programmes have been written to align to the organisational expectations and culture, so they're both completely bespoke to the organisation, and are designed and written completely for that organisation. So from branding, tone of voice, processes, procedures, values and behaviours, all kind of embedded within the courses, so that they are delivered completely tailored to that organisation. So a bit of a different approach there. What we've had here is a customer come to us with an already identified problem. We've worked with them to get underneath that a bit more, understand what their challenges are and why, and where the key kind of gaps in competence are. And then we've created 2 bespoke programs that are delivered. One's delivered face-to-face, one's delivered in a blended approach, so on e-learning and then a face-to-face workshop. And what the customer has got at the end of that is enhanced competence across key areas within their FM function. And now they're looking at how they roll that out further across other teams and departments. And the third area is a strategic partnership that we have with the government property profession. So the partnership that we in which we work with the government property profession is focused around the Fast Stream, their graduate Fast Stream programme. We work with them across a number of different areas in terms of membership, learning and development, and CPD. And the purpose is to elevate standards and drive innovation across the government estate and wider workplace and FM sector. The key areas of focus, as I said, are accreditation of professionals, so the membership of professionals and individuals, the collaboration across the sectors to share in that best practice across the sectors, and the talent development and for a sustainable future. So building that competence across the government property profession, so that we're helping them build future leaders of workplace and FM, and helping them build the technical skills and knowledge across the discipline. The government property profession have some clear strategic goals. So they want to accredit 90% of senior workplace and FM professionals by 2030, and we're supporting them to do that. And they want to support Property Fast Stream to attract new civil servant talents to the profession. So the impact of that is that it strengthens the capability across 7,500 property professionals. It addresses a £49 billion maintenance backlog, and it aligns with IWFM programmes. So we deliver a level 6 programme with them. We also deliver CPD programmes with them, and we are focused around kind of the awareness courses as well to introduce the fast streamers into the FM profession. So really, when we're working with organisations, and IWFM are partnering with organisations, we are partnering to be your learning partner, to support you in identifying the competence and the knowledge, skills, experience and behaviours that are needed across your organisation in order to help you succeed and achieve your objectives that you've set out as an organisation and as an FM function, help you identify any gaps in there, and then create those bespoke solutions. What we're really doing is identifying the strengths and areas of improvement that are helping you to kind of tailor those development strategies effectively. There isn't a one-size-fits-all approach, so each organisation has a different scenario, a different environment in which they're working in, different challenges. And from an academy perspective, our kind of purpose is to work with you, to support you and help you work through what is the best solution for your organisation. All solutions are designed specifically around your organisation's maturity level, and it aligns to your business priorities. So any available resources ensures relevance and feasibility. We're looking at it's a partnership in terms of the content that's provided by the academy, but it's all delivered within the context of your organisation, created within the context of your organisation, so that it's relevant to your employees. And it supports leads to be more impactful and give a more sustainable outcome in that, as it's developed in that way. So just to talk a bit about what we offer. So we can offer the strategic consultation. So we work from an expert analysis and insight point of view, and we share our extensive industry knowledge and independent marketing insights, and we conduct a thorough analysis of your strategy to identify where you are now and where you want to be. So that's looking at it from an organisational perspective. We can also then work with you to create a bespoke strategy that's bespoke to your organisation, that's kind of aligned to the policy and insight and research that IWFM have conducted, and the professional standards framework that highlights the L&D frameworks that are needed across organisations and across the industry. And we help you understand the thinking from within your sector and across the economy to position your WFM function for now and in the future. Second, kind of option is more of a training needs analysis option, where we work with you to identify the competence across your organisation, the current levels of competence, so the knowledge, skills, experience and behaviours across your organisation, and the gaps that you may have. And we then create a plan and do a mapping exercise to map out the skills required for future success, ensuring that all your teams and departments and workforce are prepared for upcoming industry challenges and opportunities. And that kind of can be delivered in a number of different ways. So that can then go into a bespoke course development and product development process, but it can also go into a professional development pathway process. So actually what we're doing is looking at the gaps in the skills and knowledge across your organisation and then mapping those to the professional standards, and then using IWFM, current IWFM products that we already have within the market, and mapping your employees into those courses and those development pathways. So there's kind of, again, it's not a rigid one size fits all. It's very unique to the organisation and the situation in which you are working. From a bespoke learning and development programme point of view, there's a number of different ways, as I've said. So we've talked about the most common ways, but there are other ways that we can work with you from a C-suite engagement point of view. So looking to engage your leaders into the programme and how they can influence across your organisation. Thinking about it from a continuous improvement point of view. So that CPD element of continually updating your knowledge and skills, and how you can support your people to do that. Access to mentoring, so through the IWFM membership, all members get access to the mentoring scheme. And then if you already have content and courses that you deliver to your organisation, we can also look at how we can approve that content and those courses to the IWFM training standards, so that every organisation is working to a shared training industry standard. And looking at that not just from a qualification, from a course perspective, but also from a qualifications perspective. So are there qualifications that are needed across your organisation? The IWFM have qualifications from levels 2 to 7. We've just introduced an IWFM leadership programme that is very successful. It's been very successful in the launch. So there's lots of different options, and our professional standards are very broad. So there's always kind of areas for either maintaining competence or updating knowledge and skills, or learning something completely new within the professional standards. Flexible delivery is always kind of our approach. So we have e-learning courses, short courses, bite-sized courses, blended delivery, and we have created a portfolio of products and services that are there to support our members and the broader profession, but also to support you in a way that suits you rather than a way that suits a delivery method. So there's lots of delivery methods out there. And it can be support over a structured programme, it can be a longer programme, it can be some short courses that you need to do that are needed across your organisation. As I said, it's not a one size fits all, it's very flexible in how we can deliver. And then finally, from a recognition and accreditation point of view, so professional recognition is a result of the programme we'll develop for you. So both the individuals and the organisation will gain professional recognition, and that's validating the competence and the commitment to excellence. Programme accreditation is also available, so that if you've got your own content and your own courses that you want to be approved to the IWFM standard. So once your programme is in place, the IWFM approved badge will be provided and the accreditation mark of excellence, and it's visible to all new and prospective employees. So what you're highlighting there is that your training courses are delivered to a an industry recognised training standard, but then also the individuals and the learners that complete those courses with you get that professional recognition. So a certificate that is IWFM, has the IWFM approved logo on, it's dual branded with your logo, so it's clearly highlighting it's delivered by yourselves and created by yourselves. But what they're getting is that validation of that certificate for to recognise the professional development that's taken place. There's also ongoing support and development. So looking, not just thinking about the knowledge and skills that are built across programs, but also the recognition. So membership and group membership. Membership is obviously membership for the individual. The group membership offer is looking at how an organisation can support not just one employee, but a number of employees to be recognised for the knowledge and skills that they have and their experience, and be recognised as a professional within workplace and FM. Just to talk a little bit about quality and standards. So aligning to quality and standards ensures that you're aligning to the IWFM professional standards and then the recognised training benchmarks. So the professional standards are the global workplace and FM standards that are recognised around the world. All training is delivered by industry experts who are fully aligned with our current standards and best practices, so all of our training and approval policies and training standards. And it keeps your organisation at the forefront of the FM profession, making sure that it's adapting to its ever-evolving nature. We know how quickly this industry can change. It also leverages cutting-edge research and insight to guide strategic direction and innovation. So we have a policy and insight team that conduct a number of different surveys across the membership and the broader profession, but also are creating guidance and working with thought leaders and subject matter experts across the membership on a regular basis to ensure that all of the content that's produced by IWFM is industry leading and innovative. And it supports compliance with key legislation. So as we all know, legislation changes very quickly, and there's always a risk that companies are getting left behind and need to maintain their operational integrity. By aligning to the IWFM professional standards and working with organisations like IWFM, you're ensuring that you are keeping your organisation up to date. So I think we'll take some questions if there is any questions across members of the webinar. If anyone wants to add their questions in the chat box. We've got one question. Which skills gaps are you seeing most frequently in FM right now, and how should professionals prioritise addressing them? So one of the main skills gaps that we are seeing is across leadership and management. There is a kind of perception that there isn't that leadership pathway and there isn't that clear career pathway, and there definitely is within FM. And there is, what's coming through really strong is there's lots of very strong technical knowledge across the industry, but maybe there isn't as much of that kind of leadership, those leadership skills, the communication, the influencing, how to communicate FM and share the value of FM at a senior level to get other kind of stakeholders and peers on board across other areas of the business that may not work within FM. That's kind of one of the key themes that's coming through. And professionals should focus on it's not always a case of that you need to go on a full qualification and do a full program and kind of commit to a 2-year programme. I think the ways that professionals need to prioritise in addressing the gaps within their knowledge is to think about CPD and professional development from a kind of a smaller and shorter update. So anything can be CPD as long as it enhances your skills and knowledge. There is IWFM have launched some bite-sized programs that are focused around building knowledge in key areas. So we have an AI and technology bite-sized series. We have a leadership bite-sized series, a workplace bite-sized series, sustainability. So there's lots of key and really big themes that are very important and that are at the forefront of workplace and facilities management at the moment. And this is about breaking some of that down and highlighting the key, the shorter pieces of development that people can do. I also think from a development piece, that thinking about how you deliver that within your organisation and get employees and learners and delegates to work as a cohort within your organisation is really important, because actually that builds confidence across your employees. It helps build their networking skills, but also everything is then delivered within the context of your organisation, so it's bespoke and relevant to everybody within the room.
Emma, can I just add a couple of things, not really questions, but maybe just observations. I think, obviously, thanks for sharing that information. I know there's a lot of information, included on those slides. So I think, give people a chance to kind of digest it. But if they've got any questions or want to have a further discussion, who should they be contacting yourself?
Yes, I think one of the next, someone's just read your mind now. So one of the next questions is, what are the next steps if you want to discuss team development plans, and is there a cap on how many in the team? So no, there isn't a cap on how many in the team. It can be as many people as you see fit. And the next step is to reach out to myself or Robin, who is our senior business development manager, to arrange a call so that we can meet with you and understand your organisation a bit better. I think there'll be some contact details on the next slide.
Good stuff. The other thing I was going to say, Emma, as well. I mean, just for everyone on the calls, knowledge. What we've started to do is do a series of kind of business leader roundtable kind of discussions as well. Chatham House rules, to kind of discuss, some of the big challenges facing, organisations, both on the the in-house teams, but also on the service providers. So at the moment, we've kind of got those split as two different kind of roundtables. But if any of you on the call would like to get involved in those, please get in touch again through the contact on the next slide. But it's actually a really good opportunity to kind of discuss some of the big challenges. So that, I think for two reasons. One is so that we can kind of adopt our response to that. So what can we do more to kind of adopt, to kind of support some of the challenges that the profession is facing. But also, as business leaders, sometimes it's quite useful to kind of have those kind of honest discussions with peers, across different organisations, across different sectors, and actually, a lot of the challenges I think organisations are facing, they can be pretty consistent even across different sectors, across different, organisational sizes. So it's I think the people who participate in it find it quite useful to kind of have that discussion. So if you'd like to get involved, just drop us a note and we can add you to that list.
And if there is anybody who is interested in the support that can be given through IWFM for organisations, there'll be contact details that we sent out following this webinar. Thank you. Is there any other questions from anybody? I can't see any more that have come up, but No, if anyone does have any questions that they think of, again, please contact us. As I said, the contact details will be shown with the slides. So if you do have any questions, we can arrange a call if needed. And all of the details are also on the website. If you go onto IWFM for organisations on the website, there is more detail on the website around the offers and the support that can be provided by IWFM.
Emma, the final slide, does that have the contact details on, just so if anyone wants to take a note?
Yeah, I thought I couldn't. I was struggling to get the last slide on. So yeah, so you can email organisations at iwfm.org.uk. You can go on the website iwfm.org.uk/organisations, and there's also a telephone number. So I think that's Robin's telephone number if you want to make a direct call.
Great.
So thank you for your time today, everybody. And yeah, please get in touch. We really would welcome the conversations.